Nightly Sports Call, powered by FanDuel Sportsbook.
All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Sports Call. And we're here taking your calls at 412-575-2600. That's the number of the Bordas and Bordas hotline. You can also tweet us at KDPump, at TimBenzPGH. Busy weekend of NFL games, 2 overtime games. We haven't seen that. In fact, the last one we saw in the NFL was way back in 2010 when, well, you remember the Tim Tebow game against the Steelers when Ike Taylor got burned and Thomas goes 80 yards in overtime. Well, 2 of them this weekend, and both were interesting in their own right. We welcome in Tim Benz from the TribLIVE.com as well as the Steelers pregame show.
I don't remember that game at all. I've forgotten all about Tim Tebow. Completely forgot. It's
in
out
a
of my memory
rarefied air. That was one play done, boom, just like that. I never would have thought. That was the day Tim Tebow, I think, averaged 30 yards per, what was he, like 10 completions?
If you look,
each one of them went for an average of 30 yards.
Right. If you look, there's a great stat that was floated out in the wake of the Steelers falling apart offensively about how bad they were. They took the biggest drop in the history of the NFL from one year to the next in terms of passing yardage. Right. One of the few teams that was still on that list within shot of the Steelers was the year that Tim Tebow was the quarterback for the Denver Broncos. The drop from one level to the next, and yet they beat the Steelers in the playoffs.
They did. That was a shocker, and yesterday had a shocker of sorts because I don't think many people thought New England would lose at home, but this is a different New England team. I'm going to start there, Tim, talking about Tom Brady. It seems to me like most likely he'll return to New England, but he's 42. How much can you expect from him, especially if they don't upgrade at certain positions like wide receiver, deep threat?
What you can expect is them maybe winning the AFC East again, but you can't expect them winning a playoff because I think you saw today what that looks like, and it'll look exactly the same next year if he comes back without more help. And that's a best case scenario because the Bills might be getting better. The Patriots are done unless they get more help for Tom Brady, and I was joking with Mark Cabali, who you'll see on KDKA a little bit later on from The Athletic, about the narrative changing about how it used to be that Brady makes everybody better, and now we're talking about needing to get Brady help. Well, guess what? That's what happens when you're 42. But yes, he does need help now. He can't make Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, and Kevin Falk, and guys like recycled players like Philip Dorsett, all that great anymore for the New England Patriots. He just doesn't have that kind of skill set. And you saw the odds that came out, and I believe them, that he'll probably go back to the New England Patriots. But interestingly enough, Bob, the team after the Patriots, the favorite to bet on when it comes to where Tom Brady might wind up, the Cleveland Browns. How would that be if the Steelers had to see him twice a year if he signs a contract? Even if it's with Cleveland, how would that be? By the way,
yeah, but you're going there as a backup, correct? Or as a starter? Where would he?
Oh, they're not going to have him back up Baker.
Well, they gave a lot to Baker. Baker Mayfield's
the
man.
You give up on Baker.
I read an account today where they said Baker Mayfield is their man still moving forward. That's what makes me think he's not going to Cleveland.
So he would come here and then back up Ben?
No, he's not coming here. He's staying in New England. That's where.
No, I think you're right. He goes to New England and he stays in New England is my call as well. But he's got to be careful how much he signs for because if he needs this much help on offense, they're going to have to spend some money to go get guys.
He's going to sign for $100,000 below or whatever the league minimum
because Giselle's money?
Giselle has enough. She doesn't need any more. He doesn't need any more. He wants to win, and if you're going to do that, you need to go out. Quite interestingly, he would have certainly benefited from having Antonio Brown on that roster. That was more Bob Kraft saying no, and it's interesting also to note that all the teams that Brown affected this year, every single one of them, including the Saints, who brought him in just as a tryout. They all lost, so none of them are alive.
Even Central Michigan lost its bowl game by 37 points. I don't know what more proof you need of the AB curse. How funny was it that simultaneously the guy is flirting online with Tom Brady, saying he's not coming back unless he's coming back wherever Brady goes, saying, give me a call, Tom, with the, give me a ring emoji, and at the same time, he's ripping Bill Belichick and talking about what could have been. It's just, he has no idea how self-destructive he has been in this whole process.
Not at all. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk also about the Penguins, who lost today 4-1, but still doing an outstanding job considering all of their injuries. And the question we pose on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown tonight, KDKA, late night, 11:35, is should the Penguins make a deal to compensate for the loss of Jake Gensel? We're going to get that discussion
Tom Brady
going.
on Sid's wing. I can't wait.
I think it'd be great. He's going to be pushed around. He's going to need to be. We'll talk about that and the Duquesne Dukes. Give them a shout out. They won. We're going to show you highlights of them at 11 o'clock. They're 2-0 in conference play after they started their season with 10 straight wins. You do a lot of their play-by-play.
Yeah,
It's
Marcus
a good
Weathers.
team.
He's been really good. He's hit his career high twice in back-to-back games, 25 and 26 points. He's been excellent.
Those guys are doing a very good job, and they win again today. Highlights at 11 o'clock. In the meantime, we want your calls. 412-575-2600 is the number to call. Do it right now. We'll put you on live on Pittsburgh CW. The Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call is brought to you by Ireland Contracting, putting new roofs on Pittsburgh homes for over 25 years. Call Ireland Contracting at